Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Jake Gordon. I just wrote something on the site. It is titled The Braves Outlook at Each Position. I'm going to be breaking down their outlook, talking about some of their guys in the upper minors, talking about the guys that are major league starters. But the biggest question mark that the Braves are entering 2024, without a doubt, is going to be their starting rotation, because we got question marks surrounding Michael Soroka. We got question marks surrounding Charlie Morton. We don't know if A.J. Smith-Shawver is quite ready. Hurston Waldrop, could he be a wild card this season? What necessarily is Bryce Elder? Right now, you got Max Fried, who's only under contract for one more year, Spencer Strider, and a whole bunch of unknowns. So how do you think the Braves approach it? They have yet to really pay a starting pitcher significant money. I mean, they've given one-year deals out to Cole Hamels and Charlie Morton. Is that kind of what you're expecting while they wait on the guys like A.J. Smith-Shawver and Hurston Waldrop to be ready and permanent pieces of this rotation? Or do they finally go out? There's a lot of guys available. There's going to be a lot of guys available in trade too, and get a premier guy to pair with Spencer Strider and Max Fried.
Yeah, no, I have an article in the works about this, about starting rotation options. And trust me, there's a lot. Somebody who I wanted at the deadline, he's pitching in the World Series right now, is Jordan Montgomery. He was probably my number one target. I wanted another lefty because at the time of the trade deadline, Max Fried was not pitching. And I just like Jordan Montgomery's game. He was having a great year with the Cardinals. He's continued that success with the Rangers, and he might be a World Series champion. We'll see about that. But I mean, even outside of Montgomery, there's plenty of names. It's unfortunate. I don't think the Braves are ever going to get him, but like Shohei Ohtani's probably not going to pitch. But there's some premium options out there.
I mean, there's Aaron Nola. I mean, I know he struggled a little bit yesterday night, but I mean, outside of that, he's been nails in the postseason. And
let's be serious for a second. I would give Aaron Nola a bag to end all bags. Like, come on.
Exactly. I mean, and then it also helps that you're taking him away from Philadelphia. Like that also. Yeah. You got Blake Snell. I mean, he's probably going to win the NL Cy Young. I'm not in love with Blake Snell. Like, I always think to me, he's kind of a hit or miss pitcher, and I think it's because he doesn't strike out a ton of batters and he does walk people. So I'm not in love with Blake Snell. That's probably not the direction I see the Braves going. Because listen, if you're going to pay a left-handed pitcher Blake Snell money, you might as well just pay Max Fried, right? Like, that's the way I look at it. Like, that Japanese guy Yamamoto, I think he's going to be a superstar. This guy has led the league in ERA over there in the MPB league, and it doesn't always work out transferring from the MVP from Asia or whatever to the majors. Doesn't always transfer out. But when you look at Senga and you look at Shohei Ohtani's number at pitchers in that league, this guy's almost 3 times better. I mean, they had 2.3 ERAs. This guy has a sub 1.6 ERA in the last 3 seasons, each one of them. So that guy, he's going to get the bag. Now, whether
unfortunately, it's probably going to come from the Mets.
I mean, we've heard of him. He might want to pay with a Japanese superstar. Maybe he goes to where Ohtani goes. Maybe he goes to where Senga goes. I do think he's kind of a long shot, but there are some guys. I mean, you said Jordan Montgomery. I like that idea. He's been one of the quiet, under-the-radar pitchers really for the last 3 seasons when he was with the Yankees, Cardinals, and now he's doing it in the postseason for the Rangers. He'd be a really solid number 3. Another guy that I really am intrigued by is Sonny Gray. This is a guy that I've kind of wanted the Braves to trade for in the past. He obviously went to the Twins after the Reds. He had a fantastic year this year. He'll finish top 5 probably in the AL Cy Young. He wasn't fantastic against the Astros in the playoffs, but a lot of pitchers aren't fantastic against the Astros in the playoffs. He's a really good, consistent guy that you could put in the middle behind Fried and Strider, and you'd have a very formidable group, especially if Charlie Morton comes back.
Yeah, Sonny Gray is a good option. I like I mean, I know people are split on him. I kind of think he's kind of an idiot, but he could really pitch as Marcus Stroman. He's definitely a name I think you at least have to consider if he opts out. I think the Cubs might have a club option. I'm not sure if it's mutual or a club option, but you get the point. No, it's a player option. It's a player option. So they can. He'll probably opt out of that and look for more money. I think he's definitely on the table. Eduardo Rodriguez has already going to opt out of that deal with the Tigers. They were idiots for not trading him at the deadline, but I've said that for months.
Well, they tried. He just vetoed it.
I thought they. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Regardless, anyways, Eduardo Rodriguez should be an interesting option that's available. Another lefty. He shouldn't break the bank. I don't know if they'll go big game hunting, but I think they definitely sign somebody to multiple years.
Here's one that I've kind of been on ever since he pitched against the Braves late in the season, and I want to hear your thoughts on. And he's gonna be a 1-year guy, and maybe he goes back to New York. But stuff-wise, this guy can still be an ace in this league, and I would love to give him a 1-year prove-it contract in Atlanta, something that Alex Anthopoulos loves, and I'm really eyeing him as a target for the Braves, and it's Luis Severino. This
I
guy's
was
still,
one. I had absolutely no idea who you were talking about. But okay, yeah, I don't
I
think
mean,
that's a bad idea.
I just think you give him a 1 year, $10 million contract. Maybe he's a little bit more than that, but the guy is still throwing 99 miles per hour with absolutely nasty stuff. He ended the year better than he started the year. He's been dealing with injuries. Now he'll have a full, healthy offseason. I would love to take a gamble on that guy. And listen, if you're a free agent and you look at how the Braves have handled these 1 year contracts and what they've resulted, like you have to be interested in that. I mean, from a pitching and a hitting perspective, these guys have come to Atlanta on 1 year deals and revived their careers. That's something that probably would interest Severino as much as it interests the Braves.
Yeah, I have a tweet here. This is from me, August 15th, 2023. Severino has 2.68 ERA with the Dodgers in 2024 written all over. So
Yeah.
we're on the same wavelength there.
I see. I mean, if you want, and it's probably that August 15th is probably when he played the Braves in there. And I think he pitched pretty well. I think he did end up giving like 3 home runs up, but the Braves hit home runs. There's not a lot of regular season pitchers that came and had success against the Braves, but the strikeout stuff is still there. He's still only, I think, going to be 30 years old next year. I'd love to give him a prove-it contract, but there are so many guys. We haven't even gotten into the trade options, but I think Shane Bieber is going to be on the market. There was a ton. I read an article and I think it was like top 30 trade targets, and there was at least 4 or 5 guys that are be blockbuster trade targets for pitchers. And Dylan Cease could be back on the market for the White Sox. So there's a lot of options that the Braves can choose from. But I think what we can both agree on is they're going to make moves when it comes to their starting rotation. I don't know how you can sit here and see what's happened the last 2 years with injuries and stuff. Yeah, to Fried the last 2 years, to Kyle Wright, to Charlie Morton. Like, I don't know how you can sit here and just say 3 guys is good enough again, especially when the guys behind them, they're not even, we have no inkling of an idea of whether they'll be ready to be a postseason pitcher. And as I talked about last week, the Braves, their entire offseason focus needs to shift to what wins in October. Winning 105 games, 106 games, that's fun. We had a great time this year cheering for that. But it all ended in disappointment because when push came to shove, your run prevention wasn't where it needed to be. And obviously the bats didn't show up, and you probably lose that series with anybody. But everything from the bullpen to the starting rotation, it all has to be prepared for winning in October. And not getting it done anymore is not good enough. Like, and I'm sorry, I love Alex Anthopoulos, but it's not my job to sit here and tell and get it done for the Braves. It's his job. And as long as they keep falling up short with this talented core, it's his fault.
Yeah, and even if you look, you said the past, you said 2 years they've showed up. They showed up shorthanded in 2021. They just ended up winning the whole thing. We had Tucker Davidson, all due respect, starting to put playoff game.
In 2022, AJ Minter was starting.
Yeah, AJ Minter started a playoff game. I mean, we've showed up shorthanded to the playoffs. This is 3 years in a row now.
It hasn't worked 3 out of 4 years. I mean, that's not a winning formula. And you've been bounced. Well, I guess we made it to Game 7 in the NLCS, but who knows what would have happened if it was a real season, if we would have made it that far. So I just think that, yeah, they've got to start preparing for October. They've got to get more pitching depth. That's definitely going to be – but it's not just the starting rotation. It's the bullpen as well. They need more arms, and they need to really focus on it, and they need to spend that money.
And yeah, it was something you see a lot of teams doing, good teams doing. They just get pitchers they don't need at the deadline. And I think that's something the Braves are going to have to start considering.
I mean, look at the Rangers. Look what they did. They went out and got Chapman early. They went and got Max Scherzer. And I think Scherzer's a bum and he hasn't pitched well in the playoffs, but still, they went out and got him. They went out and got Jordan Montgomery. Like, they don't even have Jacob deGrom, and they're doing this. Like, they went and overkilled it. And that's what the Braves haven't done that. And it's cost them. So it's like we can sit here and praise Alex Anthopoulos for building this roster as much as we want. And I do think he's a fantastic GM. And I do think he's going to learn from his mistakes over the last 2 years. But at the end of the day, if they keep not getting it done, it does lay at the feet of Brian Snitker and Alex Anthopoulos, because there's enough talent on this team to win World Series.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at 2022, like not 2022, but 2020, like Tommy Malone, Robbie Erlin, like this stuff like this is not good enough. Like, it's just
I still to this day say the Falcons would have won in 2020, or the Braves would have won in 2020 had they gone out and gotten one more starting pitcher. Had they gone out and gotten a good starting pitcher to start in that series against the Dodgers, we're probably talking about them being back-to-back champs, and we're not nearly as pissed off about these last 2 years. But guess what? That didn't happen because of moves you didn't make, and changes need to be made. And if we do not make them, and expect the same thing and expect something to change, that's the definition of insanity. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It isn't going to happen. We have got to be better at getting more pitchers. It's something Alex Anthopoulos has been hesitant to do. But I'm interested to see about this whole Max Fried situation too. Like, are we going to finally pay him? Because if you let Max Fried walk at the end of the season, like the outlook of this rotation is very chummy, man. It's chummy.
Yeah, and it's not like you have a ton of prospects to trade for him too. I think we've talked about this too. We'll talk about this in a different segment at a different time. But that Mitch Keller trade from Bleacher Report, that was one of the worst ones I've seen. Mitch Keller is extreme. You know what? We can do that next segment. How about that? We'll talk about that Mitch Keller hypothetical because
we can do that because just a preview of that. If AJ Smith-Shawver is going to be traded, which I think he's almost as untradeable as most prospects get, given the circumstances of the Braves rotation, it better be for a guy who is a stud. It better be for a Dylan Cease or Shane Bieber or something like that, not Mitch Keller. But coming up after the break, we're going to discuss that Bleacher Report hypothetical.